Exam day is close. This is your complete last-minute study guide for the A+ Core 1 version 15. We're going through every domain, every objective, all the essential information you need to pass. The review starts now. We're tackling Objective 1.1, monitoring mobile device hardware and using appropriate replacement techniques. Think of this as your quick hitter guide to the essential hardware inside the mobile devices you'll encounter. First up, let's talk about batteries. Imagine your phone or laptop battery is like a trusty water bottle that powers your device. How do you know it needs attention? Common signs include a rapidly draining charge. Your device dies after just an hour, or it won't hold a charge at all. Sometimes you might even see the battery physically swelling, which is a serious issue. Most modern mobile devices use lithium-ion or lithium-ion polymer batteries. The great thing about these is they don't suffer from the old memory effect. This means you can top them off anytime, just like refilling that water bottle partially without worrying about it permanently shrinking. When it comes to replacement, it's crucial to know that batteries are very model specific. Just like you can't use any cap on any bottle, you need the exact battery designed for your specific laptop or smartphone model. Some batteries are modular. They have a simple latch or a few screws, and you can swap them out easily, like clicking on a new lid. Others are integrated, built right into the device. Replacing these is more complex and often requires careful disassembly. Think of it like the bottle being sealed, needing special tools to open. For the exam, remember to always source the correct model and be aware if it's a simple swap or a more involved internal replacement. Next, keyboards and keys. A laptop keyboard is like a miniature, complex puzzle. If a piece, like a single key, is stuck, unresponsive, or missing, that's your monitoring cue. Sometimes the whole keyboard might fail. A quick troubleshooting step is to plug in an external USB keyboard. If the external one works, the problem is likely with the laptop's internal keyboard. Laptop keyboards connect via a delicate ribbon cable. Replacement often involves removing a bezel or a few screws. Then the keyboard unit pops out. Be gentle with that ribbon connector. Individual keycaps can sometimes be replaced, but they are very fragile, unlike their robust desktop counterparts. Now for random access memory, or RAM. In laptops, this comes in a smaller form factor called a small outline dual inline memory module, or SODIMM. Think of SODIMMs as smaller specialized memory sticks for a laptop's short-term thinking space. If your laptop is sluggish, especially when running multiple applications or you're getting memory errors, it might be a RAM issue. Many laptops have an access panel on the back, making it easy to add or replace SODIMMs. It's like plugging in an extra brain cell. The modules lock into place with clips. However, be aware that in some ultra-slim laptops, the memory might be soldered directly to the motherboard. In such cases, you can't upgrade or replace just the RAM. The entire system board would need changing. Let's move to storage, which includes hard disk drives, HDDs, and solid-state drives, SSDs. Think of storage as the laptop's library. Older laptops often use 2.5-inch spinning HDDs. If you hear clicking or grinding sounds, or the system is extremely slow to boot or open files, the HDD might be failing. Modern laptops primarily use SSDs, which are like super fast digital shelves with no moving parts. SSDs can also come in the 2.5-inch form factor, making them a great upgrade for older HDDs. Newer, even smaller SSDs use the M.2 interface. An M.2 SSD is like a sleek, compact flash drive that plugs right into a slot on the motherboard, secured by a single screw, handling both power and data through one connection. Replacing a 2.5-inch drive usually involves removing a couple of screws and sliding it out. When upgrading, especially from an HDD to an SSD, use imaging or cloning software to copy all your data. This creates an exact duplicate, like photocopying your entire library onto the new shelves. Now for wireless cards. These handle your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connections. The wireless card is like the laptop's ears for internet and peripheral signals. If you're experiencing frequent Wi-Fi drops, slow speeds despite a good router, or Bluetooth devices won't connect, the wireless card could be the culprit. In older laptops, these might be separate mini PCI or mini PCI Express cards found under an access panel. Newer laptops often integrate these functions directly onto the motherboard. If it's a modular card, it installs similarly to RAM. Crucially, these cards connect to Wi-Fi antennas, which are usually thin wires running around the inside of the display frame. Think of these antennas like a hidden wire frame essential for hearing clearly. They connect to small labeled ports on the card, often main and auxiliary. Proper connection and placement are vital for good signal strength. Let's touch on physical privacy and security components. First, biometrics. This includes fingerprint readers and cameras capable of face recognition, like with Windows Hello. If you can't log in using your fingerprint or face, ensure the drivers are okay and the hardware, the reader or camera, is clean and undamaged. These offer a secure way to lock down your device. Second, near-field scanner features, or NFC. NFC is a very short-range communication, think 4 centimeters or less. While common for payments on laptops, it can be used for wireless authentication, perhaps tapping an access card to log in. If this feature isn't working, check drivers and ensure NFC is enabled in settings. Speaking of cameras, most laptops have a built-in camera or webcam, usually at the top of the screen, and built-in microphones, often tiny holes near the camera. If your video is black or your audio isn't picked up in calls, first check software settings and drivers. Physical damage or a disconnected internal cable could also be issues. Replacement usually involves disassembling the screen bezel, which can be delicate. A quick note on general best practices when working inside any mobile device. Always protect against electrostatic discharge, or ESD. Think of it as tiny lightning bolts that can fry sensitive parts. Use an anti-static wrist strap. Also use the right tools and, if available, consult the manufacturer's disassembly guides. And that's a rapid review of mobile device hardware monitoring and replacement for APlus Objective 1.1. Key takeaways: understand component types, how to spot issues, and the core differences in replacement approaches, especially modular versus integrated designs. We're diving into Objective 1.2, comparing and contrasting accessories and connectivity options for mobile devices. Mobile devices are hubs of activity, so let's explore how they talk to other gadgets and how we enhance their functionality. First up, connection methods. Think of these as the pathways data travels to and from your mobile device. We'll start with wired connections. The most common is USB, or Universal Serial Bus. It's like the Swiss Army knife of connectors. You've seen older types like mini USB and micro USB. They were popular, but a bit fiddly. And the USB Type A is that familiar rectangular plug you find on computers. But the star of the show now is USB-C. Imagine a super versatile, reversible connector. That's USB-C. It has 24 pins, can be plugged in any way up, and supports everything from basic data transfer and charging to high-speed video like DisplayPort and HDMI, and even Thunderbolt. It's much faster and more powerful than older USB types. Then there's Apple's Lightning connector, found on many iPhones and iPads. It's an 8-pin proprietary plug, also reversible like USB-C. When it came out, it offered higher power for faster charging than the USB standard of its time. So, comparing them, USB-C is becoming the universal standard, offering broad compatibility and high performance. Lightning is Apple-specific, also user-friendly, but locks you into their ecosystem. The big trend is towards USB-C for almost everything. Now, for wireless connections, NFC or near-field communication is like a secret handshake between devices. It works over a very short distance, think just a few centimeters, to transfer small bits of data. It's perfect for payment systems, tap to pay, access control, like an ID badge on your phone, or quickly sharing a contact card. Bluetooth is your go-to for a personal area network, or PAN. It connects devices over a short distance, but a bit further than NFC, and handles more data. Think wireless headsets, keyboards, mice, or even tethering your phone for internet. Comparing these, NFC is for quick, tiny data swaps at close range. Bluetooth is for more sustained connections with peripherals at a slightly longer range. And speaking of tethering or creating a hotspot, this turns your phone into a mini Wi-Fi router, sharing its internet connection. If it's for multiple users, it's a hotspot. If it's just your laptop connecting to your phone, that's tethering. This can be done via Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or even a USB cable. Next, let's look at accessories that boost your mobile device's capabilities. For input accessories, while fingers work, a stylus offers precision. Think of it as a smart pen for your tablet or phone, often connecting via Bluetooth, offering pressure sensitivity, and sometimes buttons. Remember, compatibility is key, an Apple Pencil for an iPad, for example. Most laptops have a built-in trackpad, that touch-sensitive area for mouse control. External trackpads also exist, connecting via Bluetooth, and they often support cool multi-finger gestures. Some laptops let you disable the trackpad with a function key to avoid accidental clicks while typing. A drawing pad is an external digitizer, like giving your desktop or laptop the precision touch of a tablet screen using its own stylus. These connect via USB or Bluetooth and are great for artists. And don't forget track points, those little rubber nubs on some laptop keyboards that also control the cursor. So a stylus gives pen-like precision, trackpads offer convenient cursor control, and drawing pads bring artistic capabilities to non-touchscreen computers. For audio accessories, headsets are common for hands-free calls. Wired headsets might connect via USB, the older analog TRR's connector, that 3.5 mm headphone jack with tip, ring, sleeve for mic and audio, or a lightning connector for Apple devices. Wireless headsets, usually Bluetooth, offer freedom but need charging. Speakers, especially external wireless ones, give you much better sound than tiny built-in phone speakers. They're usually portable, battery-powered, and connect via Bluetooth. So, wired headsets offer plug-and-play reliability, while wireless offers convenience. External speakers are all about better audio on the go. And visual accessories. Your device probably has a built-in camera or webcam, but for better quality, or if your desktop lacks one, external webcams are great, usually connecting via USB. These are essential for video conferencing. Finally, let's talk about expanding laptop connectivity, especially when moving between a desk setup and being on the go. A docking station is like a central hub for your laptop. You plug your monitor, keyboard, mouse, network cable, and power into the dock. Then you just connect your laptop to the dock with one cable, or by physically placing it on the dock. It's super convenient and often adds extra ports or even slots for full-size adapter cards. Think of it as a permanent home base for your laptop's peripherals. A port replicator is similar but usually smaller, more portable, and connects via USB. It adds common ports like USB, HDMI, card readers, but doesn't typically offer the extensive expansion of a docking station. It's like a travel-sized multi-tool for your laptop's ports. Comparing them, docking stations are more feature-rich and less portable, designed for a fixed desk. Port replicators are lightweight and great for adding essential ports on the move. And that's a whirlwind tour of mobile device accessories and connectivity for Objective 1.2. The key is understanding what each does, how it connects, and its main advantages or differences compared to similar options. In this session, we're tackling Objective 1.3, configuring basic mobile device network connectivity, and providing application support. Our mobile devices are powerful tools, but only if they can connect and run the apps we need. Let's start with the basics of wireless and cellular data networks. You can typically enable or disable your cellular data connection right from your device settings. And remember, airplane mode is your go-to for disabling all wireless communications, cellular, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth instantly. Cellular technology has evolved significantly. We've gone from 3G, which enabled early mobile TV, to 4G LTE offering speeds up to 150 megabits per second, and LTE advanced up to 300. Now, 5G is rolling out, promising incredible bandwidth, potentially up to 10 gigabits per second, which is a game changer for the Internet of Things, IoT. Your phone can also become a hotspot, acting like a mini Wi-Fi router sharing its cellular connection. Of course, there's Wi-Fi, using 802.11 standards, for high-speed local wireless. A great feature is voice over Wi-Fi, letting you make calls over Wi-Fi if your cell signal is weak. To identify your device on the cellular network, you use a SIM, subscriber identity module, card, either a physical one or an eSIM, embedded SIM, which is activated via software, often a QR code. Some phones support multiple SIMs. Next up, Bluetooth for short-range wireless connections. First, enable Bluetooth, then the pairing process. Make both devices discoverable, then find the device for pairing in your phone's list. After selecting it, you'll often enter or confirm a personal identification number, or pin check the device manual for this. Once paired, they should reconnect automatically. Finally, always test connectivity. Now, how does your phone know where you are? Through location services. The main one is GPS, Global Positioning System, using satellites. But if GPS is weak, like indoors, your device can also use nearby Wi-Fi networks or cellular network triangulation, estimating location based on cell tower signals. All right, let's switch gears to Mobile Device Management, or MDM. MDM is software for centrally managing company-related mobile phones, vital for security and consistency. For the exam, the key device configurations to know are for corporate-owned devices and BYOD, bring your own device scenarios. That's when employees use their personal phones for work. With BYOD, a major challenge is securing company data while respecting user privacy. MDM often helps by creating a separate encrypted partition for work applications and data on the personal device. While terms like COPE and CYOD exist in the industry, focus on corporate and BYOD for the 1.3 objectives. MDM allows administrators to set policies for device use, control functionality like disabling the camera, enforce security requiring screen locks, strong pins, or multi-factor authentication, MFA, manage corporate applications, pushing needed apps or blocking others, push device configurations for email, Wi-Fi, or cloud storage, saving users hassle, and manage data synchronization settings for things like your calendar and contacts. Finally, this ties into application support and mobile device synchronization. MDM often handles configuring access to business applications like corporate mail and cloud storage services. It manages how data like contacts and calendar information is synchronized. A key part of providing this support is recognizing data caps. This means configuring devices and applications, often through MDM policies, to manage cellular data usage effectively, for instance, by restricting large sync operations or automatic downloads to Wi-Fi only, to avoid exceeding mobile data plan limits. Users also need to be aware of their own data caps. And that's a focused review of mobile network connectivity, MDM, and application support for Objective 1.3. The goal is to keep devices connected, secure, and productive. Stay tuned for our next APlus Core 1 objective review. We're now diving into Domain 2, networking, starting with Objective 2.1, comparing and contrasting TCP and UDP ports, protocols, and their purposes. This is fundamental to understanding how devices talk on a network. Imagine a network is like a huge office building and devices need to send messages. IP, or Internet Protocol, is like the main delivery service that gets mail from one building or device to another using an IP address, the unique address of each building. Now, how that mail is packaged inside the IP envelope is where TCP and UDP come in. This layering of protocols is called encapsulation. Once the mail arrives at the right building, the IP address, it needs to go to the correct department. These departments are identified by port numbers. So to send a message, you need the IP address, the packaging type, TCP or UDP, and the specific department number or port number. Let's compare our two main packaging services, TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, and UDP, User Datagram Protocol. TCP is like using registered mail that requires a signature. It's connection-oriented. It establishes a formal handshake before sending data and confirms when it's done. Think of it as making a phone call and waiting for the other person to say hello before you start talking. It provides reliable delivery. TCP makes sure all data arrives correctly and in order. It uses acknowledgements. The receiver sends back confirmations. It can recover from errors. If parts are missing or damaged, TCP can request them to be resent. It manages flow control, preventing the sender from overwhelming the receiver. Because of all this, TCP has more overhead, it's thorough, but takes more effort. You'll see TCP used for things where accuracy is paramount. Browsing secure websites with HTTPS, secure remote commands with SSH, or sending emails with SMTP. Now, UDP, User Datagram Protocol, is like sending a standard postcard or a quick memo. It's connectionless. It just sends the data without any prior setup or teardown. No handshake needed. It provides unreliable delivery. There are no acknowledgements, so the sender doesn't know for sure if it arrived. It has no built-in error recovery or retransmission. If a piece of data is lost, UDP doesn't automatically fix it. It has no flow control. This means UDP has very little overhead and is much faster. UDP is often used for real-time communication, where speed is more important than perfect reliability, like voice over IP, VoIP, video streaming, or online gaming. Getting an IP address automatically with DHCP or looking up website names with DNS also commonly uses UDP. While UDP itself doesn't resend, the application using it can build in its own checks, if needed. Now about those port numbers, the department numbers inside the building, they range from 0 to 65,535 for both TCP and UDP. And TCP port 80 is different from UDP port 80. Server port numbers, or non-ephemeral ports, are like the well-known permanent extensions for services that are always listening, typically from 0 to 1023. You need to know these to connect. Client port numbers, or ephemeral ports, are temporary numbers your computer uses for a specific session when it's initiating a connection, usually from 1024 to 65,535. Now, let's run through some common ports and protocols you absolutely need to know for the APlus exam. First, for transferring files, we have FTP, or File Transfer Protocol. It uses TCP port 20 for the actual data, and TCP port 21 for commands and control. If you need secure remote command line access, you'll want SSH, or Secure Shell. It encrypts everything and operates on TCP port 22. This is definitely the secure method to use. Its older insecure cousin is Telnet, which also provides remote command line access, but sends everything unencrypted. So try to avoid it. Telnet uses TCP port 23. When it comes to sending emails, SMTP, or Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, is the standard. It's used for sending messages between email servers or from your device to your mail server, typically over TCP port 25. Next, think of the Internet's phone book. That's DNS, or Domain Name System. It translates user-friendly website names into the IP addresses computers understand. DNS commonly uses UDP port 53. And for automatically getting an IP address and other network settings when you connect a device, there's DHCP, or Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. DHCP servers use UDP port 67, and DHCP clients use UDP port 68. For browsing the web, the classic protocol is HTTP, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It fetches web pages but doesn't encrypt the data using TCP port 80. For secure encrypted web browsing, we use HTTPS, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. You'll see this on TCP port 443. Always look for that padlock icon in your browser. To receive emails, older clients might use POP3 or Post Office Protocol version 3, which often downloads emails to your device and uses TCP port 110. A more modern and flexible option for receiving email is IMAP, or Internet Message Access Protocol. IMAP allows you to manage your emails on the server and keep them synchronized across multiple devices using TCP port 143. For file sharing and printer access, especially in Windows environments, you'll encounter SMB, or Server Message Block, which is also known as CIFS. Modern Windows systems use TCP port 445 for this direct-hosted SMB. You might hear about older NEAT BIOS over TCP IP, which used UDP port 137 for name services and TCP port 139 for session services, but TCP 445 is key for current SMB. To access directory services, like querying a central database of users and resources such as Microsoft Active Directory. We use LDAP, or Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, and this typically operates on TCP port 389. Its secure version, LDAPs, uses TCP 636. Finally, for remotely viewing and controlling Windows computers, RDP, or Remote Desktop Protocol, is the tool. It allows you to see and interact with another desktop from your own machine using TCP port 3389. Phew, that's a lot. But knowing these protocols, their purposes, port numbers, and whether they use TCP or UDP is crucial for networking and for your APlus exam. The main takeaway is TCP for reliability, UDP for speed, and port numbers direct the traffic to the right application. We're continuing our journey through Domain 2, Networking, with Objective 2.2. Explaining wireless networking technologies, let's unravel how our devices talk to each other without any pesky wires. Think of wireless technologies like different ways to communicate. You might yell across a room, use a walkie-talkie, or have a sophisticated phone call. Each has its purpose and range. First up, the big one, Wi-Fi, also known as 802.11. This is your go-to wireless network at home or work. It's like the main highway system for wireless data. The standards used to be confusing, like 802.11 ACE, but now it's simpler. Wi-Fi 5 was 802.11 AC, Wi-Fi 6 and 6E was 802.11 AX, and Wi-Fi 7 802.11B. Wi-Fi uses different radio frequencies. The common ones are 2.4 GHz, GHz, 5 GHz, and now 6 GHz. A band is just a group of these frequencies. Using different bands lets more devices connect without interference, but not every device supports every band. Both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth often use what's called the ISM band unlicensed frequencies set aside for industrial, scientific, and medical devices. These frequencies are grouped into channels, like numbered lanes on our highway. It's important to know that not all Wi-Fi channels are available everywhere. Governments regulate which frequencies can be used in each country. So, your router might offer different channels depending on your region. When it comes to channel selection, especially in the crowded 2.4 GHz band, remember that in North America, only channels 1, 6, and 11 are truly non-overlapping. Choosing one of these helps reduce interference from nearby networks. The bandwidth or channel width is how wide these lanes are. Common widths are 20, 40, 80, or 160 megahertz MC. Choosing a wider channel, like 80 or 160 megahertz, can make your Wi-Fi faster, but it also uses more of the available spectrum and might increase interference, especially in busy areas. Comparing the bands, 2.4 gigahertz has fewer unique non-overlapping channels and gets congested easily. 5 gigahertz offers many more channels and supports wider bandwidths, and the 6 gigahertz band used by Wi-Fi 6E and 7 is the newest and widest, with lots of room and less interference. Briefly, while security is a deeper topic, remember different Wi-Fi standards also bring improved security options like WPA3. Next we have Bluetooth. This is for short-range, personal connections. Think wireless headphones, speakers, or connecting your phone to your car. It uses that same 2.4 gigahertz ISM band. Its range for consumer devices is typically around 10 meters or 33 feet. Then there's RFID, or radio frequency identification. This uses radio waves to identify things like access badges or product tags. Most RFID tags are passive, no battery. They wake up and send an ID code when a scanner's radio waves power them up. Some active tags have batteries for longer range. RFID is generally one-way communication, tag to scanner. Finally, NFC, or near-field communication. Built on RFID, the big difference is NFC allows two-way communication. This makes it perfect for contactless payments by tapping your phone, or for quickly sharing setup info between devices. So, Wi-Fi is your main wireless highway, Bluetooth for personal short range, RFID for one-way ID, and NFC for two-way close-range interactions. We're on to Objective 2.3, where we'll summarize the many services provided by networked hosts. Think of a network like a bustling city, with different buildings or servers offering essential services to keep everything connected and productive. Let's explore some key server roles. First, DNS, the domain name system. This is the internet's indispensable phone book. You type in google.com and DNS servers find its numerical IP address so your device can connect. Next, DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Imagine a helpful network assistant automatically giving your computer its IP address and setup details the moment it joins the network. That's DHCP. A file share server acts as a central digital filing cabinet, allowing users to easily store, access, and share documents. Print servers are the managers for all your printing tasks, queuing up jobs and sending them to the right printer. Mail servers function as the internet's post offices, diligently handling the sending and receiving of your emails. Then there's syslog. Picture every network device keeping a diary of its actions. Syslog servers collect all these logs in one central place, often a SIM, Security Information and Event Manager, which is vital for monitoring and investigating security events. Web servers are the hosts for all the websites you visit. Your browser requests a page and the web server delivers it, usually using HTTP or the secure HTTPS. For robust security, AAA servers, authentication, authorization, and accounting, act like a stringent security checkpoint. They verify who you are, authentication, determine what you can access, authorization, and log what you do, accounting. Database servers are like massive, organized digital libraries, storing huge amounts of information in structured tables, often managed using SQL. And to keep everyone on the same page, NTP, Network Time Protocol servers, act as master clocks, ensuring all devices on your network have perfectly synchronized, accurate time crucial for logs and security. Now, let's look at some specialized internet appliances. Spam gateways are your email's first line of defense, filtering out unwanted junk mail before it hits your inbox. A UTM, or Unified Threat Management Device, also known as a next-generation firewall, is an all-in-one security powerhouse. It's like a Swiss Army knife for network protection, often combining a firewall, virus scanner, spam filter, and more in a single box. When a website gets super popular, load balancers act as traffic directors. They distribute incoming requests across a farm of identical servers, preventing overload and keeping the service snappy and available. Proxy servers are network middlemen. Your device sends requests to the proxy, which then fetches the information on your behalf, often caching content for speed or filtering it for security before sending it back to you. Next, let's touch on legacy and embedded systems. Legacy systems are simply older hardware or software still doing important work. Embedded systems are the hidden computers inside devices designed for one specific job, like in your car, a smart appliance, or a fire alarm. You use the device, usually without ever interacting with its underlying operating system. A critical type of embedded system, especially in industrial settings, is SCADA for supervisory control and data acquisition, or more broadly, ICS for industrial control systems. These are used to monitor and manage large-scale industrial machinery in places like power plants or factories, often from a distance. Because they control vital infrastructure, SCADA and ICS systems are typically on highly secure, isolated networks. And finally, the ever-expanding world of Internet of Things, or IoT devices. These are everyday items now connected to the Internet, your smart fridge, speakers, thermostats, and doorbells. While incredibly convenient, the security of these devices can vary. It's a good practice to place IoT devices on their own separate network to protect your main computers and data. Understanding these diverse networked host services, from foundational server roles to specialized appliances and systems like SCADA and IoT, is crucial for your APlus exam and for grasping how modern IT environments function. That's our comprehensive yet concise summary for Objective 2.3. We're continuing Domain 2, networking, with Objective 2.4, where we'll explain common network configuration concepts. Think of these as the essential rules and services that keep our digital city communicating smoothly. First up, let's revisit DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, the city's automatic address giver. Imagine your device joins a network. Instead of you manually typing in an IP address, DHCP does it automatically. This process is often called DORA. Discover, your device shouts out, "I need an IP address." Offer, a DHCP server replies, "How about this one?" Request. Your device says, "Yes, please." Acknowledge. The server confirms it's yours. The DHCP scope is the server's master plan, defining the available IP address range and other settings like subnet mask, DNS servers, and default gateway. Exclusions are specific IP addresses within that scope that DHCP won't assign, often reserved for static devices like routers. An IP address from DHCP is a temporary lease, like borrowing an apartment for a set time. And reservations allow a specific device to always get the same IP address from DHCP, like a permanent parking spot, by linking its physical MAC address to an IP. Next, the critical DNS, domain name system, the Internet's phone book. Instead of remembering complex numeric IP addresses, DNS lets us use names like TechVaultAcademy.com. DNS servers in a vast distributed hierarchy translate these names into the IP addresses computers need. The entries in this phone book are called resource records. Common types include A records, which link a host name to an IPv4 address, the standard numeric address. AAA records, Quad A records, do the same but for the newer, longer IPv6 addresses. CNAME records or canonical names are like nicknames or aliases. Multiple names like www.example.com and chat.example.com, can point to one underlying server using CNAMEs. MX records or mail exchanger records are vital for email. They tell other mail servers where to send emails for your domain, directing mail to the right mailbox. And TXT records store human-readable text, often for verification or spam management. Speaking of spam, TXT records are key. DKM, domain keys identified mail, acts like a digital signature for your outgoing emails. A DKM TXT record holds a public key that receiving servers use to verify your email's authenticity. SPF, Sender Policy Framework, is like a guest list of approved email servers for your domain. An SPF TXT record lists servers authorized to send email on your behalf, helping to block spoofed emails. Building on these is DMARC, Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance. This TXT record is a policy telling receiving servers what to do with emails that fail DKIE or SPF checks, like whether to accept, quarantine, or reject them, and it can even provide reports. Now let's talk about organizing networks with VLANs, Virtual Local Area Networks. Imagine a standard LAN is an open office where everyone can hear everyone else's broadcasts. A VLAN allows you to take a single physical network switch and divide it into multiple separate virtual rooms or broadcast domains. Think of it as creating invisible, secure walls within one building. Devices in the accounting VLAN can only talk to other devices in that VLAN, even if plugged into the same physical switch as the HR VLAN. This is efficient and secure. If different VLANs need to communicate, you'll need a router to act as a doorway. Finally, for secure communication over public networks, we use VPNs, virtual private networks. A VPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel for your data, like sending a secret message through a busy public square. A VPN concentrator, often part of a firewall, is the locksmith at each end, encrypting and decrypting the data. Client-to-site VPNs are common for remote users. Your laptop connects securely to your company's network from home or on the road, encrypting all your work data. Site-to-site VPNs connect two separate corporate networks, like a main office and a branch office, creating a secure encrypted tunnel between them over the internet. Understanding these DNS records, DHCP operations, and the power of VLANs and VPNs is fundamental to managing and securing modern networks. That wraps up Objective 2.4. We're on Objective 2.5, comparing and contrasting common networking hardware devices. Let's get familiar with the essential building blocks of any network. Think of your network as a bustling city. Routers are the traffic cops, sitting at layer 3, guiding data packets between different network neighborhoods or IP subnets using IP addresses stored in their routing tables. They are versatile, connecting different types of networks, like your home, a LAN to the internet. Sometimes a high-end switch with routing capabilities, known as a layer 3 switch, can perform these functions too. Within a single local network, switches are the efficient street directors. They connect your wired devices, computers, printers, servers, forwarding traffic rapidly within the LAN based on physical MAC addresses. They use specialized hardware called ASICs for high-speed performance and can have many ports. We have two main types. Unmanaged switches are your basic plug-and-play option. Like a simple power strip for your network cables, they require no configuration. They're great for small, simple setups, but offer no advanced features like VLANs or remote management. Managed switches, on the other hand, are the smart controllers for larger networks. They offer powerful features like creating VLANs to segment traffic into different virtual networks, quality of service, QoS, to prioritize important traffic like voice or video, support for redundancy protocols like spanning tree to prevent network loops, and port mirroring, which copies traffic from one port to another for monitoring. Plus, you can configure and manage them remotely. Access points, APs, act as a bridge, translating signals between your wired Ethernet network and your wireless devices. Unlike many home wireless routers, a dedicated AP doesn't typically perform routing itself. It extends the wired network wirelessly, making forwarding decisions based on MAC addresses. To keep office wiring organized, we use patch panels. Think of a central switchboard in your network closet. Permanent cables from wall jacks run to the back of the patch panel. Then, short, flexible patch cables connect the front ports of the panel to your switches. This makes it easy to reconfigure connections without rerunning long cables through walls. Protecting your network city are firewalls. Traditional firewalls act like basic guards, filtering traffic based on port numbers and IP addresses. Next-generation firewalls, NGFWs or UTM, Unified Threat Management devices, are much smarter security guards. They inspect the actual content and applications, offering features like intrusion prevention, anti-malware, and content filtering. Many firewalls also function as VPN concentrators for secure remote access or even as routers. Ever powered a device through its network cable? That's power over Ethernet or PoE. It's like a special Ethernet cable that delivers both data and electricity, perfect for devices like security cameras, VoIP phones, or wireless APs in locations without power outlets. Power can be supplied by a PoE-capable switch called N-span or in-span power, or by adding a PoE injector, a mid-span device, to an existing non-PoE network line. There are different PoE standards. The original PoE 802.3AF provides up to about 15 watts. Good for basic phones. PoE Plus 802.3AT offers up to about 30 watts for devices like pan-tilt zoom cameras. And PoE++ 802.3BT provides even more, 60 to 100 watts, for hungrier devices. Higher standards are generally backward compatible. Now for connecting to the internet. A cable modem is your gateway if internet comes via your TV cable provider, using the DOCSIS standard to translate cable signals to Ethernet. These are known for high speeds. DSL or digital subscriber line provides internet over traditional copper phone lines. DSL speed is very dependent on your distance from the phone company's central office. If you have superfast fiber optic internet, an optical network terminal, or ONT, is the device that converts those light signals into usable Ethernet for your router or computer. The ONT is typically located at the demarcation point, or to mark the boundary where your ISP's network responsibility ends. Finally, the fundamental piece for wired network connection on any device is the Network Interface Card, or NIC. It's your device's network passport. NICs can be built into the motherboard or added as expansion cards. Every single NIC has a unique permanent hardware address burned into it called a MAC address, Media Access Control Address. Switches use these MAC addresses to precisely deliver data frames to the correct device on the local network segment. Understanding these hardware pieces and their distinct roles is crucial for APlus networking. That's a wrap for Objective 2.5. Stay tuned for more. We're tackling Objective 2.6, configuring basic wired and wireless small office, home office, or SOHO networks. This is all about understanding how our devices get their digital addresses to communicate. Think of an IP address as your device's unique mailing address on a network. To send or receive data, it needs a complete mailing label. This includes the IP address itself, the specific street number, like 192.168.1100, the subnet mask, like a postcode telling your device which local neighborhood or subnet it belongs to, for example, 255.255.255.0, and the default gateway. This is the address of your local router, the main post office your device uses to send data outside its local neighborhood. Let's talk about IPv4, the original Internet house numbering system. An IPv4 address is 32 bits long, shown as 4 decimal numbers separated by dots, like 192.168.1.31. Each number, or octet, is between 0 and 255. With about 4.3 billion possible addresses, we started running out. To help, we have private IPv4 addresses. Think of these like internal apartment numbers within a large building. The whole building might share one main street address, a public IP, to talk to the outside world. But internally, thousands of devices can use private addresses. These are defined in RFC 1918 and are not routed on the public internet. Common ranges include 10.0.0.0 for large networks, 172.16.0.0 to 172.31255.255 for medium ones, and 192.168.0.0 for many home networks. Public IPv4 addresses, on the other hand, are globally unique and internet routable, allowing direct communication across the internet. To solve the IPv4 address shortage, we have IPv6. IPv6 addresses are 128 bits long, providing a virtually inexhaustible supply. Think 340 undecillion addresses. They look different, written in hexadecimal with colons, like FE80, 5D18, 0652, FEFD, 8F52. Because they're so long, we rely heavily on DNS to use names instead. Subnetting is also simpler, often with a /64 prefix for the network, and the remaining 64 bits for the host. What happens if your device can't find a DHCP server to get an IP address? It might use APlus, automatic private IP addressing. This is a fallback, like a lost and found address. If your device gets an IP starting with 169.254.xx, that's APlus. With it, you can only talk to other devices on your immediate local network, not the internet. It's a sign you need to troubleshoot your DHCP setup. Now, how do devices actually get these IP addresses? There are two main methods, static and dynamic. Static IP addressing is like having a permanent, unchanging home address. You can manually type in the IP, subnet mask, and gateway on each device, but this is prone to errors and hard to manage on large scale. The better way for static assignment on a network with DHCP is a DHCP reservation. You tell the DHCP server to always give a specific IP address to a specific device based on its MAC address, like a permanent reserved parking spot. This is great for servers, printers, or routers. Dynamic IP addressing is the most common for user devices. Your device automatically gets a temporary IP address from a DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol server. It's like checking into a hotel and getting a temporary room number easy and automatic. Understanding these IP addressing fundamentals, IPv4 versus IPv6, public versus private, APIPA, static versus dynamic, and the roles of subnet masks and gateways is absolutely essential for configuring any SOHO network. We're tackling Objective 2.7, where we'll compare and contrast various internet connection types and network types, along with their unique characteristics. Think of this as understanding all the different roads to get online and the different ways our digital cities are structured. Let's start with internet connection types, the roads to the internet. First, satellite internet. Your data bounces off a satellite in space. It's great for remote locations where other options don't reach. Speeds are decent, around 100 megabits per second down. But the downside is higher cost and latency, that delay from the long signal travel. Newer systems like Starlink are improving this. You also need a clear line of sight, and bad weather can disrupt it. That's called rain fade. Next, fiber optic. This uses light through thin glass strands, super fast and efficient, like a laser beam for your data. It's more expensive but can carry huge amounts of data over very long distances. Once only for big networks, fiber now often comes right to your home. Then there's cable internet, using the same coaxial cable as your TV. A cable modem using the DOCSIS standard translates these signals for your network. It's broadband, meaning it carries multiple services like internet, TV, and phone simultaneously. Speeds can be very high, often a gigabit or more. DSL, digital subscriber line, often called ADSL, uses your existing telephone lines. It's asymmetric, meaning download speeds are usually much faster than upload speeds. A key characteristic is that DSL speed decreases the farther you are from the phone company's central office, typically best within about 10,000 feet. Cellular internet uses your mobile phone network. You can tether a single device to your phone or use your phone as a mobile hotspot to share its internet connection with multiple devices. Always check with your carrier about availability and costs. And for remote areas without easy cable or phone lines, there's WISP, Wireless Internet Service Provider. This provides internet wirelessly from a provider, often using an outdoor antenna to connect to their network. Speeds can vary widely. Now let's switch to network types. How our digital cities are organized. A LAN, local area network, is a network in a small area like your home, an office floor, or a small building. It uses Ethernet or local Wi-Fi and usually offers the fastest speeds because devices are close. A WLAN, wireless local area network, is simply the wireless version of a LAN using 802.11 Wi-Fi technology to connect devices without cables within that local area. A WAN, wide area network, connects networks over large geographical distances, cities, states, or even globally. Think of the internet itself as a massive WAN. WANs are generally slower than LANs due to the distances involved. A MAN, metropolitan area network, covers a city-sized area sitting between a LAN and a WAN. Governments or large organizations might use MANs to connect various locations within the same city, often using their own fiber, sometimes called Metro Ethernet. A PAN, personal area network, is for your very close personal devices. Think Bluetooth connecting your phone to your wireless headset, your car's audio system, or health and fitness trackers. NFC and infrared are also PAN technologies. And finally, a SAN, storage area network. This isn't for general user access, but is a specialized high-speed network designed to connect servers to large storage devices. It allows for block-level access, making storage appear local to servers, which is crucial for performance in data centers. SANs are often isolated networks. Understanding these different connection methods and network structures will give you a great foundation for your A+ exam. That's our overview for Objective 2.7. We're wrapping up Domain 2, Networking, with Objective 2.8 explaining networking tools and their purposes. Let's check out the essential toolkit for any network technician. First, for making and repairing cables. The crimper is like a specialized stapler for cables. It securely fastens connectors like an RJ45 onto the end of a twisted pair cable, pushing tiny copper contacts through the wire insulation for a solid connection. Before you crimp, you'll often use a cable stripper. This tool cleanly removes the outer protective jacket of a cable without damaging the inner wires. Think of it as carefully peeling a banana to get to the wires inside. For troubleshooting wireless issues, a Wi-Fi analyzer is your best friend. It's like radar for your Wi-Fi, showing you frequencies and channels in use, signal strength, and any interference. It helps you see if your signal is strong or if it's getting lost in noise. For even deeper dives, a spectrum analyzer can show all radio frequencies in an area. Ever tried to find one specific cable in a tangled mess? That's where a toner probe comes in. It's a two-part tool. A tone generator sends an analog sound down a wire, and an inductive probe listens for that tone on the outside of cables until it finds the right one. It's like playing Marco Polo with your network cables. When you're connecting many cables in a wiring closet, you'll use a punch-down tool. This tool pushes individual wires from a cable into a punch-down block, a large organized terminal. It fastens the wire securely and often trims the excess, making a neat connection. Remember to keep those wire twists all the way to the block to prevent interference. To ensure your newly made cable is wired correctly, use a cable tester. It checks for continuity, ensuring pin 1 on one end connects to pin 1 on the other, and so on for all pins. It'll tell you if wires are crossed or not connected. What if you suspect a network port on a device itself is faulty, not the cable? That's where a loopback plug comes in. You plug it into a port, and it sends outgoing signals directly back into the port's receive pins. It's like the port talking to itself. If it hears what it said, the port is likely good. Finally, for analyzing network traffic, you might use a network tap or port mirroring. A physical network tap is a hardware device you insert into a live network link to copy all the data flowing through it, like a splitter in a water pipe. This can be disruptive to install initially. Port mirroring, also called span, is a software feature on managed switches. You configure the switch to copy all traffic from certain ports or VLANs to a specific port where your network analyzer is connected. This is non-disruptive and very handy for troubleshooting or security monitoring. Knowing these tools and their purposes will make you a much more effective network technician. That covers the essential networking tools for Objective 2.8. Hey, quick pause. I know you're deep in study mode. This video gives you the knowledge, but the real key to passing is proving you can apply it under pressure. That's where our study system comes in. First, you learn and memorize with the Core 1 study pack. That's your flashcards, notes, and slides for active recall. Then you test and understand with the Core 1 question pack. It's packed with realistic practice exams where we explain the why behind every single answer choice. You can get both packs combined at the best value in our Core 1 Mastery Bundle. Okay, that's it. The complete system is waiting for you. Check it all out at TechVaultAcademy.com. All right, let's get back to it. We're now kicking off Domain 3, Hardware with Objective 3.1, comparing and contrasting display components and attributes. The right display depends entirely on its purpose, gaming, graphic design, or general use. So let's break down the specs that matter. First, let's look at display types. The most common is LCD, or liquid crystal display. Imagine a window with tiny Venetian blinds that twist to let light from a backlight pass through color filters. This design is lightweight, low power, and inexpensive, but can struggle to show true blacks because the backlight is always on. Within LCDs, we have different flavors. TN, or twisted pneumatic panels, are known for very fast response times, making them great for competitive gaming. Their downside? Poor viewing angles. Colors can shift if you're not looking straight on. IPS, or in-plane switching panels, offer excellent accurate colors and wide viewing angles, making them ideal for graphic design and video editing where color is key. They're generally more expensive, and VA, or vertical alignment, panels are a good middle ground, offering better color than TN panels, but with slower response times. Then we have OLED, or organic light emitting diode. Think of an OLED screen as having millions of tiny light bulbs that can each turn completely on or off. Because they don't need a separate backlight, OLEDs can achieve perfect true blacks and incredibly vibrant colors. They're also very thin and light, which is why you see them in many high-end phones and TVs. A newer technology is Mini LED. This is an advanced LCD where the backlight is made of thousands of tiny, independently controlled LEDs. This allows for precise dimming in specific zones of the screen, resulting in much deeper blacks and better contrast, getting very close to OLED quality. Next, let's look at a few key display components. A touch screen, or digitizer, is the technology that converts your touch into digital coordinates, allowing you to interact with the display using your finger or a stylus. It's like having a giant touchpad built right into your screen. An inverter is a component found in older LCDs that used fluorescent backlights. It's a power translator, converting DC power from a battery to the AC power those lamps needed. If you have an old laptop with a very dim screen where you can faintly see an image, a failing inverter could be the culprit. Modern LED backlit screens don't need one. Finally, let's cover the display attributes that define a screen's quality. Screen resolution is the total number of pixels on the screen, like 1920 by 1080 for HD or 3840 by 2160 for 4K. More pixels in the same physical size mean a sharper, more detailed image. This leads to pixel density, measured in ppi or pixels per inch. It tells you how tightly packed those pixels are. A smaller 4K screen will have a higher ppi and look much crisper than a massive 4K TV. Refresh rate, measured in hertz, is how many times the screen updates the image every second. For smooth motion in gaming or sports, you'll want 60 Hz or higher. Anything less can make fast action look stuttery. Remember, your video card and connection type, like HDMI 2.1 or DisplayPort, must also support these high refresh rates. And lastly, color gamut. This is the range of colors a display can reproduce. A wider color gamut is crucial for professionals in graphic design or photography who need accurate colors. Displays are measured against standards like sRGB, and you'll often see this represented as a percentage. OLED displays typically offer the best color gamut, so for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas to remember. For display types, LCDs use a backlight, while OLEDs have self-lit pixels for true blacks. Within LCDs, Tennessee is fastest, IPS has the best color and viewing angles, and VA is a good compromise. For components, know that a digitizer enables touch, and an inverter powers older fluorescent backlights. And for attributes, remember, resolution is pixel count. Refresh rate is smoothness in Oz, pixel density is sharpness in PPI, and color gamut is the range of colors. That's our rapid review of Objective 3.1. Thanks for watching TechVault Academy. We're untangling Objective 3.2, basic cable types and their connectors. Think of cables as the digital highways for data, and connectors as the specific on-ramps and off-ramps. Let's get connected. First up, network cables. The most common are copper twisted pair cables, the backbone of most wired Ethernet networks. The wires inside are twisted to reduce interference. Different categories define their speed limits. Cat5e supports gigabit Ethernet up to 100 meters. For 10 gigabit Ethernet, you'll need Cat6, good for 55 meters, or Cat6a, good for the full 100 meters. These cables can be unshielded, UTP, or shielded, STP. Shielding is like adding armor to protect against electrical interference. You might see special types like plenum-rated cables, which have fire-resistant jackets for use in office air spaces, or direct burial STP for running cables underground. We also have coaxial cables, common for cable internet and TV, which use a threaded F-type connector. The ultimate speed demons are optical fiber cables. They use pulses of light, making them immune to electrical interference, and perfect for very long distances. Multi-mode fiber is for shorter ranges, like within a data center, using LEDs. Single-mode fiber is for long-haul communication, spanning many kilometers, using powerful lasers. Next, peripheral and high-speed cables. USB, Universal Serial Bus, is the king here, with versions like USB 2.0 at 480 megabits per second and USB 3.0 at 5 gigabits per second. Legacy serial cables, using the RS-232 standard, are now mainly used for configuring older network equipment via a console port. Thunderbolt is a powerhouse, bundling high-speed data and power into one cable. Thunderbolt 3 and 4 use the versatile USB-C connector and can achieve 40 gigabits per second, even allowing you to daisy-chain multiple devices. Now for video cables. HDMI, High-Definition Multimedia Interface, is the standard for TVs and monitors, carrying both digital video and audio in one cable. DisplayPort also carries digital video and audio, and is known for its packetized data and locking connectors. DVI, Digital Visual Interface, is for video only. It comes in DVI-A for analog, DVI-D for digital, and DVI-Y for integrated, both. A dual-link DVI-D cable can support higher resolutions than a single link. And the legacy VGA, Video Graphics Array standard, is for analog video only, using a blue 15-pin connector. For hard drives, the standard is SATA, Serial At Attachment, which uses a 7-pin data cable and a 15-pin power cable. For external drives, there's eSATA, which uses a different, more durable connector. And let's quickly identify some key connectors. RJ11 is your smaller telephone and DSL connector. RJ45 is the larger 8-pin connector for Ethernet. It's crucial to know the T568A and T568B wiring standards to ensure cables are made correctly. T568B is most common in the US. Hey, quick pause. As we're going through all this technical info, I just want to check in for a second, because I know that feeling of watching tons of videos, having notes everywhere, but still not knowing if you're really ready for the pressure of exam day. It's a tough spot to be in, and it's easy to waste time just spinning your wheels. And that's exactly why we built the TechVault Academy ecosystem, to turn that uncertainty into a clear, confident plan. It all starts on our freebies page. Seriously, you can take our APlus readiness quiz to get a real sense of your starting point, or download the 6-week study plan to get a proven roadmap. Then, when you're ready to master the content, we've got the toolkit, our comprehensive practice exams, the brand new APlus flashcard decks for active recall, and our famous last-minute review slides to lock it all in. And maybe, most importantly, you don't have to do it alone. You can join our private community, the TechVault Hub, to ask questions, share wins, and connect with other students who are on the exact same journey. It's a full support system, and we bundle everything together in our mastery bundles so you can get the best value. Okay, that's it. I just really wanted you to know that that entire support system is there for you whenever you need it. You can check it all out, starting with the free tools at techvaultacademy.com/free-resources. All right, let's get back into it. For fiber optics, you have the Twist and Lock ST connector, the Push-Pull Square SC connector, and the Compact Clip-Style LC connector. A punch-down block is used in wiring closets to terminate many cables neatly, without putting a connector on every single wire. For power, the older 4-pin Molex connector provides 12-volt and 5-volt power to peripherals inside a PC. And for mobile devices, you'll see micro USB, mini USB, Apple's proprietary Lightning connector, and the modern reversible USB-C connector, which can handle data, power, and video. Finally, the DB9 connector is the 9-pin serial port connector used for those legacy console connections. And don't forget adapters. They are the essential problem solvers that bridge the gap between different connector types, like DVI to HDMI or USB to Ethernet. So for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas. Know your network cables, copper, UTP, STP by category versus fiber, multimode, single mode. Identify your video cables, HDMI, DisplayPort, audio video versus DVI, VGA, video only. Recognize your connectors, RJ45 for Ethernet, RJ11 for phone, DSL, and the key fiber types, ST and LC. And understand that modern connectors like USB-C and Thunderbolt are multi-purpose powerhouses. We're continuing Domain 3 hardware with Objective 3.3, where we'll compare and contrast RAM characteristics. Think of RAM, or random access memory, as your computer's super fast temporary workbench. Data is loaded here from long-term storage for the CPU to work with. The bigger and faster your workbench, the more efficiently your computer can operate. Let's start with RAM form factors, which is just the physical size and shape of the memory module. The most common for desktop computers is the DIMM, dual inline memory module. Dual inline means it has separate electrical contacts on both sides of the module for efficient data transfer. For devices where space is tight like laptops and many all-in-one PCs, we use a SODIMM, small outline DIMM. It's about half the size of a DIMM, but provides the same function like a compact car for data instead of a full-size truck. Next up, the technology that makes modern RAM so fast, DDR or double data rate. DDR memory cleverly transfers data twice per clock cycle, effectively doubling the data throughput compared to older memory. It has evolved through generations, DDR3, DDR4, and now DDR5, each one faster than the last. But here's a crucial point for the APlus exam. DDR generations are not backward compatible. A DDR4 module will not fit in a DDR3 slot. To prevent mistakes, each generation has a physical key or notch in a different location. If the notch doesn't line up, it's the wrong type. Now, let's talk about data integrity with ECC versus non-ECC RAM. Most desktops and laptops use non-ECC RAM, which has no built-in mechanism for correcting memory errors. For critical systems like servers, where a single data error could be catastrophic, we use ECC RAM, error-correcting code memory. ECC RAM can not only detect single-bit errors, but also correct them on the fly, ensuring the system remains stable and data is not corrupted. Think of it as having a built-in, real-time proofreader and editor for your computer's memory. An older, less common type, parity memory, could only detect errors, not correct them. Finally, let's look at channel configurations. To increase the data highway's width between the RAM and the CPU, motherboards use multi-channel configurations. A single channel setup is like a one-lane road. Dual channel uses two memory modules in matched slots, creating a two-lane highway that doubles the memory throughput. Many systems also support triple channel or quad channel for even more bandwidth. To take advantage of this, it's essential to install memory modules in pairs or sets, and motherboard slots are often color-coded to show you which ones to use for a multi-channel setup. So, for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas. RAM is your computer's high-speed temporary workspace. For form factors, remember DIMM for desktops, SODIMM for laptops. For speed, DDR transfers data twice per clock cycle, but different DDR generations are not compatible and are physically keyed. For reliability, ECC RAM detects and corrects errors, and it's essential for servers. And for performance, multi-channel configurations, dual, triple, quad, use multiple RAM sticks to increase memory bandwidth. That's our rapid review of RAM characteristics. This is all about where your data lives, from the old spinning platters to lightning-fast flash memory. Let's start with the classic hard drives, or HDDs. Think of these as a tiny record player. They have spinning magnetic platters, or disks, and a read-write head on an actuator arm that moves to access data. Their performance is measured by spindle speed in RPM. Common speeds are 5,400, 7,200, or 10,000 revolutions per minute. Faster spinning means faster data access. They come in two main form factors, the larger 3.5-inch size for desktops and the smaller 2.5-inch size for laptops. But the modern standard for speed is the solid-state drive, or SSD. SSDs have no moving parts. They use non-volatile flash memory, making them incredibly fast, more durable, and quieter than HDDs. SSDs come in a few form factors. You can get them in the traditional 2.5-inch size, which allows them to be a drop-in replacement for older HDDs. For more compact spaces, there's the M-SATA, Mini SATA standard, and the even more common M2 form factor, which looks like a stick of RAM and plugs directly into the motherboard. The real speed difference comes from their communication interface. An SSD in a 2.5-inch form factor typically uses the SATA interface, which is fast, but the real magic happens with NVMe, non-volatile memory express. NVMe SSDs, often in the M2 form factor, can use the PCIe, Peripheral Component Interconnect Express, bus directly, offering mind-blowing speeds that leave SATA in the dust. Think of SATA as a fast highway and NVMe over PCIe as a dedicated high-speed bullet train for your data. For enterprise environments, you might also see SAS, Serial Attached SCSI drives, known for their reliability and performance in servers. Now, what if one drive isn't enough, or you're worried about a drive failing? That's where RAID, Redundant Array of Independent Disks, comes in. RAID combines multiple physical disks into one logical unit to improve performance or provide redundancy. But remember the most important rule: RAID is not a backup. It protects against drive failure, not accidental deletion, malware, or disaster. Always have a separate backup. Let's quickly review the common RAID levels. RAID 0, striping, is the speed demon. Data is split across at least 2 drives. It's super fast but has 0 redundancy. If one drive fails, all data is lost. RAID 1, mirroring, is all about safety. Data is duplicated exactly onto 2 drives. If one drive fails, you have a perfect copy on the other. It's highly redundant but uses only half your total storage space. RAID 5, striping with parity, is a smart compromise. It stripes data across at least 3 drives and includes a special checksum called parity. This allows you to lose any one drive and rebuild the data. It's a good balance of speed, safety, and storage efficiency. RAID 6, striping with dual parity, is extra safe. It's like RAID 5 but with 2 sets of parity, so it can withstand the failure of any 2 drives. It requires at least 4 disks, and RAID 10, a stripe of mirrors, is the best of both worlds. It mirrors drives into pairs for safety, RAID 1, and then stripes data across those pairs for speed, RAID 0. It requires at least 4 drives and offers great performance and redundancy, but like RAID 1, it uses half your storage space for the mirror. Finally, let's touch on removable storage. This includes your everyday flash drives or thumb drives and memory cards, like SD or micro SD cards used in cameras and phones. And don't forget legacy optical drives, which use lasers to read data from CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray discs. So for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas. HDDs have moving parts and are slower. SSDs use flash memory and are much faster. The fastest SSDs use NVMe over a PCIe connection, often in an M2 form factor. RAID combines multiple disks for speed or redundancy. Remember, RAID 0 is for speed only, no redundancy. RAID 1 is for redundancy, mirroring. RAID 5 can survive one drive failure, RAID 6 can survive two, and RAID 10 combines the speed of striping with the safety of mirroring. And most importantly, RAID is not a backup. That's our rapid review of storage devices. We're assembling the very heart of the computer in Objective 3.5, installing and configuring motherboards, CPUs, and add-on cards. Let's get building. Think of the motherboard as the computer's central nervous system. It's the main circuit board that connects everything. They come in different form factors or sizes. The standard ATX is the largest and most common for desktops. Micro ATX is a smaller version, and ITX form factors are even smaller for compact PCs. The motherboard has many crucial connector types. PCIe slots are the modern high-speed highways for add-on cards, replacing the older PCI standard. You'll find SATA connectors for internal drives and sometimes a SATA for external ones. M2 slots are for high-speed SSDs, and of course there are various power connectors and headers for USB and case buttons. Motherboard compatibility is key. The CPU you choose must match the CPU socket type on the motherboard. The two main brands, Intel and AMD, use different sockets. You can't mix and match. High-end servers might even have multi-socket motherboards to run more than one CPU. Now for the CPU, Central Processing Unit, the computer's brain or engine. Most desktop and server CPUs use x86/x64 architecture. x86 refers to older 32-bit processors, while modern x64 processors are 64-bit, allowing them to use much more RAM. ARM architecture, on the other hand, is known for its power efficiency and is dominant in mobile devices. Modern CPUs have multiple core configurations. A quad-core or octa-core CPU is like having multiple brains working on different tasks at the same time. But all that thinking generates heat, which makes cooling critical. Fans and heat sinks work together to pull heat away from the CPU. A crucial part of this is thermal paste or pads, a special compound that fills microscopic gaps between the CPU and heatsink to ensure efficient heat transfer. For high-performance systems, liquid cooling acts like a car's radiator, using a coolant to whisk heat away even more effectively. Next, we have add-on cards, also called expansion cards. These plug into motherboard slots like PCIe to add or enhance features. Common types include sound cards for better audio, video cards or GPUs for high-end graphics, capture cards for video input, and network interface cards, NICs, for network connectivity. Finally, let's talk about the motherboard's own mini operating system, the BIOS or UEFI. UEFI is the modern, graphical version of the older, text-based BIOS. It's the first software that runs when you power on your PC. In the UEFI BIOS settings, you can configure critical functions. You can set boot options to tell the computer which drive to start from first. You can enable or disable USB permissions for security. You can manage security features like a boot password or a BIOS supervisor password. Secure Boot, a UEFI feature, helps prevent malware from loading during startup by checking for valid digital signatures. And you can enable virtualization support, Intel VT or AMD V, which are hardware features that make running virtual machines much faster and more stable. The BIOS UEFI is also where you monitor system temperatures and control fan speeds. For encryption, you can manage the TPM, Trusted Platform Module, a hardware security chip that securely stores cryptographic keys for features like full disk encryption. A larger scale version for data centers is the HSM, Hardware Security Module. So, for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas. The motherboard is the central hub. Its form factor, ATX, ITX, and CPU socket Intel AMD are key compatibility points. The CPU is the brain. Its architecture, x64/ARM, and core count determine its power, and it needs proper cooling. Add-on cards expand functionality, and the BIOS/UEFI is where you configure it all, from boot order and fan speeds to critical security features like secure boot and TPM. That's a rapid review of motherboards, CPUs, and add-on cards. We're powering up with Objective 3.6, installing the appropriate power supply. This component is the very heart of your PC, and choosing the right one is critical. But first, the most important rule, safety first. Always disconnect the power source before working inside any computer. So what does a power supply do? Think of it as your computer's internal power plant. Its main job is to take the AC or alternating current from your wall outlet and convert it into the low voltage DC or direct current that your computer's components need to live. To understand its specs, remember the water hose analogy. Voltage, volts, is the water pressure, amperage, amps, is the amount of water, and wattage, watts, is the total work that water can do. A power supply's wattage rating tells you its total power capacity. Power supplies need to handle different input voltages. In the US, wall outlets are around 120 volts AC, while in Europe it's typically 240 volts AC. Older power supplies had a dangerous manual switch to select the voltage. Get it wrong, and you'd get a spectacular failure. Thankfully, most modern power supplies are auto-sensing. The output of the power supply is various DC voltages for different components. Plus 12 volts is crucial for power-hungry parts like graphics cards and hard drives. Plus 3.3 volts and plus 5 volts are primarily for motherboard components, M.2 slots, and RAM. The main connection to the motherboard is a large, keyed 20+4 pin connector, which can fit both modern 24-pin and older 20-pin motherboards. So that's the textbook definition of the 20+4 pin connector. But here's a question. How do you actually apply this in a real-world build? What's the one common mistake most new technicians make when they're calculating their total wattage needs for the first time? Well, that's exactly the kind of stuff we're breaking down every single day in our new TechVault Academy Community Hub. It's a free space where we go beyond the theory. For every objective in this APlus series, we're posting daily practice questions, pro tips, and having detailed discussions. So, if you really want to make sure you're ready for the exam, pause this video right now, open a new tab, and join us. The direct link right at the top of the description below. It's the best way to practice and ask me questions directly. Okay, now let's get back to power supply designs. Power supplies come in different designs. A standard, non-modular supply has all its cables permanently attached, which can lead to clutter. A modular power supply is a game changer for clean builds, letting you attach only the cables you actually need, which greatly improves airflow. For critical systems like servers, you'll find redundant power supplies. Think of a twin-engine airplane. If one power supply fails, the other one instantly takes the full load, keeping the server online without interruption. These are usually hot swappable, meaning you can replace a bad unit while the server is still running. When choosing a power supply, first, consider its wattage rating. You need to calculate the total power draw of all your components, especially your CPU and video card. And a good rule of thumb is to buy a power supply with about 50% more wattage than you currently need. This provides stability and room for future upgrades. Finally, look at its energy efficiency. Power supplies are not 100% efficient. Some energy is always lost as heat. The 80+ certification rates this efficiency from 80+ bronze up to 80+ titanium. A more efficient power supply runs cooler, saves you money on your electricity bill, and is better for the longevity of your components. So, for your A+ exam, here are the main ideas. The power supply converts AC wall power to DC power. Ensure your PSU's input voltage matches your region, or is auto-sensing. The main motherboard connector is the 20+4 pin. Modular power supplies improve cable management, while redundant power supplies ensure uptime for servers. When buying, choose a wattage rating about 50% higher than your needs, and look for a high 80+ energy efficiency rating to save power and reduce heat. That's a rapid review of power supplies. We're tackling Objective 3.7, deploying and configuring multifunction devices and printers. These MFDs are the Swiss Army knives of the office, so let's learn how to set them up and manage their settings. First, the physical setup and location. When you unbox a new printer, especially a large office MFD, consider its location carefully. It needs to be easily accessible with both power and a network connection readily available. Next, you'll need to install the appropriate drivers. A driver is a translator that lets your operating system talk to the printer. Always match the driver to your OS, 32-bit drivers for 32-bit systems and 64-bit for 64-bit systems. You'll also encounter different printer languages. PCL or printer command language is common with HP printers. PostScript from Adobe is another widely used language. The driver you install must match the language your printer is configured to use. It's also vital to keep the printer's firmware, its internal brain, up to date. Check the manufacturer's website for updates to fix bugs or add features, and always follow their specific instructions for installation. Now let's look at device connectivity. You can connect directly to a single computer with a USB cable. For network access, you'll use an Ethernet cable with an RJ45 connector, or you can go wireless. Bluetooth is an option for very short range printing. More commonly, you'll use 802.11 Wi-Fi. In infrastructure mode, the printer connects to your office Wi-Fi access point, making it available to everyone. In ad hoc mode, it creates a direct point-to-point connection with a single computer. So that's the textbook definition of infrastructure mode versus ad hoc mode. But here's a question. How do you actually apply this in a real-world scenario? What's the one common mistake most new technicians make when setting up a shared office printer for the first time? Well, that's exactly the kind of stuff we're breaking down every single day in our new TechVault Academy Community Hub. It's a free space where we go beyond the theory. For every objective in this A+ series, we're posting daily practice questions, pro tips, and having detailed discussions. So, if you really want to make sure you're ready for the exam, pause this video right now, open a new tab, and join us. I've put the direct link right at the top of the description below. It's the best way to practice and ask questions directly. Okay, now let's get back to sharing printers. To make a printer available to multiple people, you'll need to set it up as a public or shared device. You can create a printer shared directly from a computer the printer is connected to. The downside: if that computer is off, nobody can print. A better solution is a print server. This is a dedicated service, often built right into the printer itself, that manages all incoming print jobs. It acts as a traffic controller, ensuring everyone can print reliably. Let's dive into configuration settings. Duplex printing allows you to print on both sides of a page, saving paper. Orientation lets you choose between portrait tall and landscape wide. For printers with multiple trays, you can load different paper types and select which tray to use for each job. And you can adjust print quality by changing the resolution, DPI, or choosing between color and grayscale to save ink or toner. Security is crucial for shared printers. You can set up user authentication to control who has permission to print. For sensitive documents, some MFDs support badging, where a print job is held until you physically swipe your ID badge at the printer. Another option is secured prints, where you assign a PIN to your job and enter it at the printer to release the document. This prevents your confidential printouts from sitting in the output tray for anyone to see. And don't forget audit logs, which track who printed what, which is useful for monitoring usage and costs. MFDs are also powerful scanners, offering network scan services. You can scan directly to email, to a shared network folder using SMB, server message block, or directly to cloud services like Google Drive or Dropbox. Most MFDs have a flatbed scanner for single pages or books, and an ADF, automatic document feeder, which acts like a paper butler, automatically feeding a whole stack of pages for large scanning jobs. So, for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas. Properly deploy a printer by considering location, drivers, PCL versus PostScript, and firmware. Connect it via USB, Ethernet, or Wi-Fi. Share it using a reliable print server. Configure settings like duplex, trays, and quality. Secure it with authentication, badging, or secured pin prints, and check audit logs. And use its scanning features, ADF flatbed, to send documents to email, SMB shares, or the cloud. That's a rapid review of deploying and configuring MFDs. We're wrapping up Domain 3 hardware with Objective 3.8, performing appropriate printer maintenance. Think of this as your essential pit stop checklist to keep your printers running smoothly and prevent major breakdowns. First up, let's talk about laser printers, the sophisticated baking ovens for your documents. A key maintenance task is to replace the toner cartridge when your prints get light. This is usually a simple modular swap. You'll also need to periodically apply a maintenance kit. These kits contain common wear and tear parts like feed rollers and the fuser unit. Your printer tracks its page count and will tell you when it's time. A critical safety tip: the fuser gets extremely hot, so be careful if the printer has been in use. After installing the kit, remember to reset the page counter. To keep quality high, you may need to calibrate the printer, which adjusts toner density, especially after replacing a cartridge. And for cleaning, never use compressed air on spilled toner. It will go everywhere. Use a specialized toner vacuum or a damp cloth. If you get toner on your skin, use cold water, not hot, to wash it off. Next up, inkjet printers, the tiny painters for your photos and graphics. The most frequent task is replacing the ink cartridges when colors get streaky or run out. But the biggest maintenance headache is a clogged print head. Most printers have an automated cleaning cycle you can run from the software to clear out dried ink and fix streaks. If colors are misaligned, you'll need to run a calibration to line them up perfectly. And if paper gets stuck, carefully clear jams, making sure no small paper scraps are left behind, and clean the paper feed rollers and feeder if needed. Now for thermal printers, the heat artists that print your receipts and shipping labels. These printers use no ink or toner, just heat on special thermal paper. Maintenance is simple. You'll replace the paper rolls as needed. The most important task is to clean the heating element. If your prints look faded or have lines, a quick wipe with isopropyl alcohol will usually fix it. You also need to periodically remove paper debris from the inside. Just be sure to avoid a standard vacuum cleaner which can create static. Use compressed air or a specialized computer vacuum instead. Finally, let's look at impact printers like the classic dot matrix printer. Think of these as paper tattoo artists using pins to strike an inked ribbon. Their main advantage is printing on multi-part paper for carbon copies. Maintenance is straightforward. You'll need to replace the ribbon cartridge when the print becomes faded. It's a quick, modular swap. Over time, the print head itself can wear out and will need to be replaced. Be careful, as these can also get very hot. And for paper, you'll be replacing the continuous tractor feed paper, making sure to align the holes carefully to prevent jams. So, for your A+ exam, here are the main ideas. For laser printers, replace toner and apply maintenance kits when prompted, and be careful with the hot fuser. For inkjets, the key is to regularly run the print head cleaning cycle. For thermal printers, remember to use special paper and keep the heating element clean with isopropyl alcohol. And for impact printers, the main tasks are replacing the ink ribbon and aligning the tractor feed paper correctly. That's your rapid review of printer maintenance. We're kicking off Domain 4, Virtualization and Cloud Computing, with Objective 4.1, explaining virtualization concepts. Virtualization is like having multiple computers running inside one physical machine, a powerful digital playground for IT pros. So how does this magic work? Through a hypervisor, also known as a virtual machine manager. It's the special software that creates and manages the virtual world. There are two types. A Type 1 or bare metal hypervisor installs directly onto the computer hardware, acting as its own lean operating system. Think VMware ESXi or Microsoft Hyper-V. A Type 2 or hosted hypervisor runs as an application on top of an existing OS like Windows or Mac OS. Think VMware Workstation or VirtualBox. The hypervisor allows us to create virtual machines or VMs. These are self-contained virtual apartments inside your physical computer, each with its own virtual hardware and a full guest operating system. VMs serve many purposes. You can create a sandbox, an isolated playpen to test risky software without harming your main system. Developers use them for test development, using snapshots as a digital undo button to instantly revert any changes. Application virtualization is another huge benefit. You can run legacy software on an older OS inside a VM, like a vintage car in a modern garage. Or you can do cross-platform virtualization, running Windows, Linux, and Mac OS all at the same time on a single machine. Now, what if you just want to virtualize an application, not a whole OS? That's where containers come in. Unlike VMs, which each have a full guest OS, multiple containers share the single host OS. Think of them as specialized kitchens that all share the same building's main plumbing and electricity. This makes them much more lightweight and portable than VMs. Docker is a popular example. Another powerful concept is desktop virtualization. The most common form is VDI, Virtual Desktop Infrastructure. This is where your entire desktop operating system runs as a VM on a server in a data center. You access it from a simple thin client on your desk. It's like renting a supercomputer in the cloud and controlling it through a window. Of course, running all this requires some key requirements. You need enough physical RAM and storage for your host OS and for every VM you want to run simultaneously. Your CPU also needs hardware support, like Intel VT or AMD V enabled in the BIOS UEFI. And security is critical. Each VM needs its own firewall and anti-malware, just like a physical computer. You also have to guard against a rare threat called VM escape, where malware could potentially break out of a VM and affect the host. So, for your A+ exam, here are the main ideas. Virtualization runs multiple OSs on one physical machine using a hypervisor. A Type 1 hypervisor is bare metal. A Type 2 is hosted on an existing OS. Virtual machines, VMs, are used for sandboxing, testing, and running legacy or cross-platform applications. Containers are a lightweight alternative that virtualizes just the app, sharing the host OS. VDI provides a virtualized desktop from a central server. And remember, you need enough RAM, storage, and robust security for every virtual instance you run. That's a rapid review of virtualization concepts. We're ascending to the clouds with Objective 4.2, where we'll summarize cloud computing concepts. Think of the cloud not just as a server somewhere else, but as a massive, on-demand digital toolbox that gives you instant access to powerful computing resources anywhere in the world. First, let's look at the common cloud models. This is all about where your tech lives and who owns it. A private cloud is like owning your own house. You build and manage your own cloud infrastructure in your own data center. You have complete control, but it requires a big upfront investment. A public cloud is like renting an apartment in a giant complex managed by providers like Amazon, AWS, or Microsoft Azure. You share the underlying building with other tenants, have no upfront hardware costs, and pay as you go. A hybrid cloud is the best of both worlds. You own your house, private cloud, for sensitive data, but you also rent a public space for other needs, like handling extra website traffic. And a community cloud is like a co-op building where several organizations with similar needs share the infrastructure and costs. Next are the cloud service models, which define how much you manage versus what the provider manages. Think of it like a pizza analogy. Infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, is like getting a take-and-bake pizza. The provider gives you the raw infrastructure, the hardware, network, and storage. You are responsible for installing the operating system, managing security, and running your applications. You manage the inside. Platform as a service, or PaaS, is like ordering a pizza for delivery. The provider manages the platform, including the hardware and operating system. You just bring your application to run on top of it. You build on their platform. Software as a service, or SaaS, is like dining out at a pizza restaurant. You just log in and use the application like Gmail or Microsoft 365. The provider manages everything behind the scenes. You just simply start using it. Finally, let's cover the key cloud characteristics that make it so powerful. Cloud resources can be shared among many customers, which is called multi-tenancy, or they can be dedicated just for you. Metered utilization means you pay for what you use, like a taxi meter. This includes tracking ingress, which is data coming into the cloud, and egress, which is data going out. Elasticity is the cloud's ability to automatically scale resources up or down to meet demand, like a rubber band stretching and shrinking. You only pay for what you need at that moment. Availability means cloud services are designed to be always on, with many redundancies to prevent downtime. And file synchronization is the process where your data is automatically copied across different data centers for redundancy and availability. So, for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas. For cloud models, know the difference between private, you own it, public, you rent it, hybrid, both, and community, you share it with partners. For service models, remember IaaS, you manage the OS and app, PaaS, you manage the app, and SaaS, you just use it. And for characteristics, recall elasticity, scaling on demand, metered utilization, paying for what you use, and high availability. That's a rapid review of cloud computing concepts. Hey, quick pause. I know you're deep in study mode. This video gives you the knowledge, but the real key to passing is proving you can apply it under pressure. That's where our study system comes in. First, you learn and memorize with the Core 1 study pack. That's your flashcards, notes, and slides for active recall. Then you test and understand with the Core 1 question pack. It's packed with realistic practice exams where we explain the why behind every single answer choice. You can get both packs combined at the best value in our Core 1 Mastery bundle. Okay, that's it. The complete system is waiting for you. Check it all out at TechVaultAcademy.com. Alright, let's get back to it. We're kicking off our final domain, 5.0, Hardware and Network Troubleshooting, with Objective 5.1. It's time to become a tech detective and learn how to troubleshoot motherboards, RAM, CPUs, and power. Let's start with problems that happen right at the startup. If you hit the power button and get no power, no fans, no lights, start by checking the source. Is the wall outlet working? Is the power cord firmly plugged in? You can use a multimeter to test the outlet and the power supply unit's outputs. What if you get power but a blank screen? First, check the obvious. Is the monitor plugged in, powered on, and set to the correct input like HDMI or DisplayPort? If you can see a faint image, the backlight may have failed. If swapping with a known good monitor doesn't help, the issue might be the PC's video card or motherboard. Sometimes, instead of a screen, you'll hear a series of post beeps. The power on self-test is a quick health check the computer runs at boot. Beep codes are a secret language telling you what failed. Don't memorize them. Instead, check the motherboard manufacturer's documentation to decode the beeps and find the faulty component. Now for issues that cause system instability. Random shutdowns are often a sign of overheating. Your computer will shut itself off to prevent permanent damage. Check your cooling system. Are the fans spinning? Is the case free of dust? Is the heat sink secure with fresh thermal paste? You can use monitoring software to check your CPU and system temperatures. Sluggish performance can be caused by many things. Use the task manager to see what's using up your CPU and RAM. Scan for malware, make sure your OS and drivers are updated, and check that you have enough free disk space. And of course, the dreaded proprietary crash screen or blue screen of death in Windows. This stop error is a goldmine of information. Write down the stop code or driver name it gives you, then use that to research the solution. You can try booting into safe mode or using System Restore to roll back recent changes. Let's use our senses for the next clues. If you notice an unusual noise, listen closely. A scraping or clicking can indicate a failing hard drive. A rattling could be a loose component like a heatsink. A burning smell is a critical sign of a hardware failure. If you smell it, unplug the computer immediately to prevent further damage. Also, look for capacitor swelling. Capacitors on the motherboard are small cylinders that should have flat tops. If you see one that's bulging or leaking, it has failed, and the component, often the entire motherboard, needs to be replaced. Finally, a couple of specific issues. Application crashes might not bring down the whole system, but they're still a problem. Check the Windows Event Viewer or Reliability Monitor for error details. Often, a simple uninstall and reinstall of the app can fix the issue. And if your computer constantly has an inaccurate system date and time, the culprit is almost always a failing CMOS battery on the motherboard. It's a small coin cell battery that's usually easy to replace. So, for your APlus exam, here's your troubleshooting summary. For startup issues like no power or a blank screen, always check the basics first. Cables, power, and monitor input. Post beeps mean you need to check the motherboard manual. For instability like random shutdowns or sluggish performance, suspect overheating or software issues first. Use Task Manager to investigate. Use your senses. Listen for unusual noises, look for swollen capacitors, and if you smell something burning, cut the power immediately. And for an incorrect system time, the answer is almost always the CMOS battery. That's your rapid review of core hardware troubleshooting. We're tackling Objective 5.2, Troubleshooting Drive and RAID Issues. Your storage is your computer's long-term memory, so let's learn how to be the detective that solves its problems. First, let's identify the common symptoms of a failing drive. You might hear unusual noises like a grinding sound or the infamous click of death, which are signs of severe physical hard drive failure. Look for visual cues like LED status indicators changing color or blinking. For RAID arrays, you might hear audible alarms. You'll also see performance issues, extended read-write times, low performance or IOPS, and frequent data loss or corruption. The most obvious signs are boot failures, like a bootable device not found error, or drives simply missing in your OS. So, you've seen a symptom. What are the troubleshooting steps? First and foremost, if you suspect a drive is failing, especially a hard drive making noises, stop and back up your data immediately if you can. Then check the simple stuff. Reseat the data and power cables. A loose cable is a common and easy fix. Also ensure your power supply can handle all your components. Next, check for overheating and run manufacturer diagnostic tools to perform a deep scan of the drive. A fantastic built-in tool is SMART, Self-Monitoring Analysis and Reporting Technology. Think of it as a check engine light for your drive. It monitors internal stats and can give you a warning that a drive is about to fail, giving you time to replace it proactively. Now let's talk about RAID, Redundant Array of Independent Disks. RAID uses multiple drives to increase speed or provide redundancy. But remember, RAID is not a backup. If you have a RAID failure, your RAID controller will often tell you with on-screen messages, audible alarms, or email alerts. The whole array might be missing, or a single drive might be marked as failed. Your first step is to check the RAID controller's utility to identify the exact physical drive that failed. Replacing the wrong one can be catastrophic. Understanding the RAID level is key to recovery. RAID 0, striping, uses at least 2 drives for speed. It has 0 redundancy. If one drive fails, the entire array is broken and all data is lost. Your only recovery is from a backup. RAID 1, mirroring, uses at least 2 drives for redundancy. It creates an exact copy. If one drive fails, the array continues to run perfectly. Just replace the bad drive and the mirror will rebuild. RAID 5, striping with parity, uses at least 3 drives and can survive the failure of one drive. The array will enter a degraded state but will remain online. Replace the failed drive to rebuild. RAID 6, striping with dual parity, is even safer. It uses at least 4 drives and can survive the failure of 2 drives simultaneously. And RAID 10, a stripe of mirrors, combines the speed of RAID 0 with the safety of RAID 1. It requires at least 4 drives and can often survive multiple drive failures, as long as both drives in a single mirrored pair don't fail. So for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas. Listen for grinding or clicking noises from HDDs and back up immediately. Check cables first for any drive issue. Use SMART data to predict drive failures before they happen. For RAID, listen for alarms and use the controller utility to identify the failed drive. Know your RAID failure modes. RAID 0 has no redundancy. RAID 1 survives a single failure in a pair. RAID 5 survives 1 drive failure. RAID 6 survives 2 drive failures. And, most importantly, a good recent backup is your ultimate protection against any drive or RAID failure. That's our rapid review of drive and RAID troubleshooting. We're tackling Objective 5.3, troubleshooting video, projector, and display issues. When your screen acts up, it's time to play detective, so let's diagnose the most common problems. Let's start with the most frequent issue, a blank screen or no signal. First, check for physical cabling issues. Is the monitor plugged into power and turned on? Is the video cable, whether it's HDMI, DisplayPort, or something else, securely connected at both ends? This simple check solves a surprising number of problems. Next, check the incorrect input source. Many monitors have multiple inputs. Make sure your monitor is set to listen on the correct port you're plugged into, like HDMI 1 or DisplayPort. What if you have an image, but it's fuzzy, distorted, or has sizing issues? This is often a resolution mismatch. Every LCD has a native resolution. For the sharpest image, your computer's video output resolution must match the monitor's native resolution. If they don't match, the image can look blurry or stretched. If your screen goes black after the Windows logo appears, Try booting into VGA mode to get a basic display and fix the settings. If you have a dim image, first check the brightness and contrast settings on the monitor itself. Also check your operating system's display settings, as auto-dimming or power-saving modes can be the culprit. If these don't help, the monitor's backlight may be failing, which usually requires replacing the display. Now for some issues specific to projectors. If the image is dim or gone, you may have a burnt-out bulb. Projector bulbs get incredibly hot and have a limited lifespan. They are usually designed to be user replaceable. If you experience intermittent projector shutdowns, it's almost always an overheating issue. Projectors will shut down to protect themselves. To prevent this, regularly clean the dust filters to ensure good airflow, and always let the fan run for a few minutes after you turn it off to cool the bulb down properly. Let's talk about image artifacts. Display burn-in or image sticking is when a faint ghost of a static image remains on the screen. This was common on older CRTs, but can happen to LCDs too. To prevent it, enable features like pixel shift on your monitor. Sometimes displaying an all-white screen for a while can help remove a stuck image. A dead pixel, however, is a single pixel that is permanently black and cannot be fixed. This is a manufacturing defect, and the only solution is to replace the entire display. If you have a flashing screen, start by checking your cable connections. If that doesn't work, try swapping the cable or the monitor with a known good one to isolate the problem. A bad video driver can also be the cause, so try updating or reinstalling it. If you have an incorrect color display with everything tinted blue or green, check the color settings on both your monitor and in your operating system. Also, disable any night mode or night light features that intentionally alter the color temperature. And finally, if you're experiencing audio issues from your monitor's built-in speakers, check the volume and mute settings on the monitor itself first. Then, ensure your operating system is configured to send audio out through the correct video connection, like HDMI or DisplayPort. So for your APlus exam, remember the CABLES mnemonic, cables and connections. Check them first. Audio and input, check your monitor's input source and audio settings. Brightness and burn-in, adjust brightness and use pixel shift. Locate the problem by swapping components. Everything else, check OS settings and drivers. And sizing and shutdowns. Match native resolution and keep projectors cool. That's a rapid review of display troubleshooting. We're tackling Objective 5.4, troubleshooting common mobile device issues. Our phones and tablets are our digital lifelines, so let's learn how to play doctor when they get sick. First up, let's talk about power and battery issues. If you have poor battery health, with your device dying quickly, check the battery stats in your settings. It will show you which apps are the biggest power hogs. Also, poor cell reception can drain your battery fast, so consider using airplane mode when the signal is weak. If you see a swollen battery, where the case is bulging or popped open, this is a serious fire risk. Power off the device immediately, do not charge it, and get the battery replaced right away. For improper charging, if your device won't charge, check the basics systematically. Try a known good charging cable, inspect the device's charging port for lint or debris, and test the power adapter and wall outlet. Next, physical damage. A broken screen is a common problem. Remember, the glass is usually part of the whole display assembly. Before a repair, back up your device and cover the sharp broken glass with a screen protector or tape to prevent cuts. Liquid damage can be a device killer. If your device gets wet, power it off immediately and do not charge it. Remove any cards or the battery and place it in a sealed bag with desiccants, those little moisture-absorbing packets. Do not use rice, and wait at least 24 hours before trying to power it on. Also inspect for physically damaged ports, like the charging port. This often requires a full system board replacement, so handle your cables with care. Let's move on to performance and software problems. If your device is showing degraded performance, running slow or stuttering, start by updating your OS and all your applications. Freeing up storage space by deleting old files or apps can make a huge difference. Also, Check for and close any unnecessary apps running in the background. Sometimes you might be unable to install new applications. This is often due to insufficient storage space, a poor network connection, or an issue with your App Store authentication. And be on the lookout for malware. If your device is acting strangely, using a lot of data, or has apps you don't recognize, run a reputable anti-malware scan. Now for input and display issues. If your touch screen is unresponsive or you're seeing ghost touches where the device acts on its own, you may have digitizer issues. A simple reset of the device is the first step. For older devices, you might find a touch calibration utility in the settings. If the problem persists, it's likely a hardware failure requiring a screen replacement. This ghost touch issue is also known as cursor drift. If your stylus does not work, check the simple things first. Is its battery charged? Is it properly paired via Bluetooth? Is the tip damaged? A simple device reset can often fix connectivity glitches as well. And finally, if you're experiencing poor or no connectivity to Wi-Fi or cellular, remember the basics. For cellular, signal strength depends on your proximity to a tower and can be weaker indoors. For Wi-Fi, you need to be within range of an access point, and in crowded areas, interference can be an issue. So for your APlus exam, here's a quick troubleshooting summary. For battery and charging issues, check your stats and test each component of the charging chain. A swollen battery is a serious hazard. Replace it immediately. For physical damage like a broken screen or liquid damage, prioritize safety and backups. For performance problems, update your software, free up space, and check for background apps. For input issues like a faulty digitizer or stylus, always try a full device reset first. And for connectivity problems, remember that signal strength and interference are your primary suspects. That's your rapid review of mobile device troubleshooting. We're putting on our detective hats for Objective 5.5, troubleshooting network issues. When the internet goes down, you're the first call, so let's learn how to crack the case. Before you start, get a baseline. For a wired connection, check the link light on your network port. No light often means a bad cable or connection. Then, perform a sequential ping test. Remember the mnemonic PLLDR. First, ping the loopback address 127.0.0.1 to check your own computer's network software. Then, ping your local IP to check your network card. Next, ping your default gateway to check your local network connectivity. Finally, ping a remote IP like 8.8.8.8.8 to check your internet connection. Wherever the ping fails is where your problem likely is. Now let's tackle common symptoms. If you have limited or no connectivity, and you see an IP address starting with 169.254, that's a PIPA. It means your computer couldn't get an address from a DHCP server. You can talk to local devices, but you can't reach the internet. This is a dead giveaway that your DHCP process is failing. If you have intermittent wireless or internet connectivity, your connection keeps dropping. This is often caused by external interference from things like microwaves or other Wi-Fi networks, or you could simply be too far from your access point. Try changing the Wi-Fi channel on your router or moving closer to it. What about slow network speeds? First, run a speed test to see if the issue is really the network. High latency can also make things feel slow. Latency is the delay for a data packet to make a round trip. You can measure it with a ping. If you have high latency, it could be due to network congestion or old hardware. For real-time applications like voice over IP, VoIP, or video calls, you might experience jitter. Jitter is the variation in latency. Imagine data packets arriving in inconsistent clumps instead of a smooth stream. That's jitter, and it causes choppy audio and video. Poor VoIP quality is almost always due to high latency and jitter. Sometimes the issue is physical. If a port's link light is constantly turning on and off, that's called port flapping. This usually points to a bad cable, a bad connector, or a failing port on the switch. Try swapping the cable or using a different port on the switch. Finally, what if you're connected but can't access anything? This could be an authentication failure. You might have an incorrect username or password, or your credentials for a specific service may have expired. Using a packet capture tool like Wireshark can help confirm this by showing you permission denied messages from the server. So for your APlus exam, here are the main ideas. For connectivity issues, use the PL-LDR ping test to isolate the problem. An APIPA address 169.254.x.x means DHCP has failed. For performance issues, know that high latency is delay, and jitter is the variation in delay, which especially harms VoIP and video. For wireless problems, suspect interference or weak signal strength. Try changing channels. And for physical issues, port flapping points to a bad cable or switch port, while authentication failures are about permissions and passwords. That's your rapid review of network troubleshooting. For the final objective of our A+ Core 1 review series, Objective 5.6, Troubleshooting Printer Issues. Printer problems can be frustrating, but with a good detective strategy, you can solve any case. Your first step in troubleshooting is to isolate the problem. A great way to do this is with a test page. A test page from your Windows, Settings, tests the OS and driver. A test page printed directly from the printer's own controls tests only the hardware. Comparing the two is a powerful clue. Let's look at print quality issues. If you see lines down the printed pages, it's often a clogged printhead on an inkjet printer or a scratch on the photosensitive drum in a laser printer. If your prints are faded, you're likely low on ink or toner. For garbled print, where you get random, nonsensical characters, the issue is likely a bad or incorrect printer driver or a mismatch in the printer language, like sending PCL to a PostScript printer. Try reinstalling the correct driver. Speckling on pages or double echo images from a laser printer usually points to a problem with the optical drum not being cleaned properly during the print process. This often means the drum or toner cartridge needs to be replaced. Next up, paper handling problems. If paper is not feeding correctly, or you get a multi-page misfeed. The pickup rollers are probably dirty or worn out. Cleaning or replacing them is the fix. For paper jams, always remove the paper carefully without tearing it. Even a tiny scrap left behind can cause future jams. A grinding noise is often a symptom of a paper jam or another physical obstruction. Let's talk about job management and configuration. If you have multiple prints pending in queue or a frozen print queue, the printer spooler service in your operating system has likely crashed, often due to a corrupted print job. You'll need to go into the print queue, delete the bad job, and restart the spooler service. If the printer reports that a tray is not recognized, make sure the tray selected in your print driver matches the physical tray and the paper size you're trying to use. And if you get an incorrect page orientation, check the orientation settings in both your application and your print driver defaults. And don't forget connectivity issues. If your network printer isn't responding, use your standard network troubleshooting. Check the IP configuration, check the network cable, and look for link lights on the printer's network port. Finally, some printers have finishing issues. If you're getting staple jams or problems with a hole punch, your best bet is to check the printer's documentation for the specific procedure to clear the jam or configure the feature. So for your A+ exam, here are the main ideas. Start by isolating the problem with test pages. For print quality issues like lines, fading, or garbled text, investigate the ink toner, print heads, drum, or drivers. For paper handling issues like jams and misfeeds, check the paper path and the pickup rollers. A frozen print queue is almost always a crashed spooler service in the OS. And for connectivity issues, use your network troubleshooting basics to check the printer's IP and physical connection. That's a wrap on Objective 5.6 and on the entire APlus 1201 Core 1 exam. Congratulations on making it through. Thanks for studying with TechVault Academy.